Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer. This is their part number 2980. This is in a 645 finish. 2980 and a 645. What is a 2980? Well, it's a full surface adjustable tension, what would be considered a screen door hinge, or maybe a storm door hinge. But screen door is typically what this is going to be called. Unusual finish, meaning it's uncommon. This is bright nickel is what it is. And let's take some basic dimensional properties and we'll talk about where you're going to use this. And when it comes to Bommer, they have sizes on things, but the size doesn't necessarily always refer to anything that you can actually measure. When it comes to this type of hinge, you know, they're calling it 2 3/4. Well, when I put my tape measure on the leaf, it doesn't measure 2 3/4. We take a look at the overall width or so. Yeah, 2 3/4, it does. The fact of the matter is, looking at the template is how you know exactly what the size of the item is and whether or not it's proper for your application. Overall projection appears to be about 3/4 inch once it's installed. Now, where would you use this and why? So first of all, before we switch to that, I'm making a video of this 2980 in the 645 finish because I have not to date made a video on this hinge in this finish. I'm sure I have 2980 YouTube videos, just not in a bright nickel finish. Bommer announced in probably 2021 or 2 that they're going out of business. Well, it's the second quarter basically of 2023. And there's only a very small amount of odd inventory now. So when Bommer announced that, we started buying out their inventory, and customers are looking for 2980s in black or satin brass or even satin bronze. Well, there are none. There never will be any more, unfortunately. At least that's what it looks like. And this recent client said, you know what? I'd rather have polished nickel than nothing. So here you go. There's polished nickel. Let's talk about where you're going to use this hinge. Let's do that now. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Okay, where you're going to see this hinge installed is literally in a wooden screen door, storm door that swings out, covering the main entryway, typically to a residence or some sort of secondary residence, something like that. I don't really see these hinges installed on anything else. Very small gates, you can see them there. But the 32-inch, 36-inch by 80-inch type of, 78-inch, thinner than average, 1.25 inch, 1 inch, 1.1 inch thick wooden storm door is where you're going to see these all day long. This hinge is very, very likely from the 19th century in terms of this design. I don't know how far back the design dates, but Bommer's been a company since 1876, and spring hinges were always there. Not to say their forte or their strong suit. The name Bommer hinge is practically synonymous with a single or double acting spring hinge, especially the double acting 3029. So this video is to help determine whether or not this is the item that you can use, and by the time you're seeing it, these may be long gone, so it'll be just historical reference only. So wooden storm doors, what's nice about this is 2 things. It's surface mounted, so you don't have to really worry about a half surface where one leaf is attached to the rabbet of the frame and then the other leaf is to the surface of the door. This just slaps right onto the face of the jamb casing, very likely, and the door itself. This would, of course, make for an installation where you have 0 inset, or practically 0 inset. I don't think there's any inset, meaning the door is not inset from the frame at all, so that if the casing or jamb or wall and the door are flush, flat against each other, this hinge will likely work very well. You do have to have adequate width to get both leaves installed. The door is probably not a problem. You probably have 3-4 inches, whatever it might be. You have to make sure you've got a wide enough jamb, but we'll look at the template in a moment. The other thing that's nice about it is that it is adjustable. so that you'll be able to adjust the spring tension. When this hinge ships, it's already under tension. Okay, that's because the tension pin is already installed. With the tension collar pointed towards the top of the door, and you insert the tension rod, for every order that you place, you'll get at least one tension rod. For every hinge that you order, you'll get at least one tension pin. You don't need more than one tension rod. So if you ordered 2 or 3 of these, you may only get one tension rod, and that's okay. Rotate that clockwise, and what it's doing at that point is that it's increasing tension on the spring on the back. But when you rotate it clockwise, you'll be able to remove that tension pin. And that's how you go about adjusting the tension, because the tension collar is drilled all the way through, and probably, well, in each, there are 3 holes basically. Well, that would mean that there are 6 holes that are drilled all the way through. I don't really know I don't know what the degree these holes are to each other. Yeah, maybe it's 5 holes that are drilled all the way through, so they might be at, you know, whatever 360 divided by 5 is going to be. 50, 60, 70, 72 degree. Could be at 72 degree, whatever that is. So that's how you set the tension. Okay, and when the tension collar again is pointed towards the top of the door, that's how you decrease or increase it. That's really nice, because then you don't have to tolerate a door just slamming. You can slow that down. And it's a storm door or a screen door. You don't want it slamming, because there may be no hardware on it at all, or there might be a light-duty sort of latch. And all you want to do is get it to the closed position where maybe you can take your cabin hook or your hook and eye or your slide bolt, however you would secure that. It's going to include screws, typically in a complementary finish. If it's a prime coat hinge, a 600 finish, you might get screws that are, you know, a silver type zinc or chrome or nickel type color. But nonetheless, you'll get screws that are either compatible or matching, to use a term from the wood door industry. Let's switch to the screen view and let's take a closer look at all of the supporting information. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Okay, here's the item that we are looking at, $29.80 in a 645 finish, 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 screen door spring hinge, full adjustable with adjustable tension button tip. Button tip. If you use your imagination, it looks like the button on a coat. Bright nickel plated. That is what 645 means. That's the BHMA code for 2 things, made of steel with a bright nickel plating on it. Okay. Also has a clear coat on it, which will give corrosion or protection, corrosion resistance or protection to the surface of the material. Description of it down here: non-handed, full surface, adjustable tension, button tip steel. And the finish, bright nickel plated, clear coated. The size, important to know, 3 hinges maximum door weight, 50 pounds, meaning if you're employing 3 hinges, you got a max weight of 50 pounds.
My cartridge.
Packaged with screws. Now, standard packing, 2 per box. You don't get 2 when you buy 1. The unit of measure is 1, sold per hinge. When you purchase 1, we will send you 1 hinge. Should you need the replacement pin or rod, there are the links to it. Now, the good stuff, template. Let's first take a look at some images that we have. There's the label on the box. Here is just what the hinge looks like. Bit of a close-up view, I suppose. I had said earlier those holes were drilled all the way through. They're not, apparently. I assumed that they were. They are on the LB40 300 series. Not on these, apparently. Just showing you what the end or the button tip looks like. Side view, I suppose. The back side. Showing you the tension pin and how it's inserted. We know that that hinge is under tension because you get a little bit of a bend there to it. It's not bent, it just shows you the relationship. Screws, and then your tension rod. Okay, now that template. Okay, here is the technical drawing. Profile, yes, there's no inset indicated here in the drawing. You can see on here that they indicate 2 3/4 as the overall height of the leaves. It's, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, I'm mistaken. When I had showed that earlier on the camera, I was measuring it from the back, but when you measure it from the front, it is absolutely 2 3/4. Yeah, I was getting a little, you know, you can see, that's what it is. The leaf heights aren't the same. Yes, yes, yes. One leaf is clearly smaller. That's what I was measuring, the smaller of the two. I didn't actually realize that till just studying that. That's because of the way that the leaves are folded. One leaf folds under the other. Yeah, it makes sense. Screw hole locations. Should you be replacing hinges? You want to know where the holes for the hinges are. Pardon me, the holes for the screws. There they are. It's an equal leaf hinge. Jackson, drawn by Jackson. Last time he updated this was 1998. So 25 years at this point. His name is Stuart Jackson. He was the engineer, the lead head engineer at Bommer. I've met him. I have spoken to and emailed him countless times, but I've met him. And he is, to say that he's extremely knowledgeable is the year's greatest understatement. He is a living encyclopedia of spring hinges and the mechanics and forces involved. And I'll relay a funny story to you once we wrap up this video. So there's your template. You can use that to get about your business in terms of understanding what needs to be done. Now this hinge was available in every finish that Bommer would be able to do on steel. And that means that, you know, if you needed polished brass, we would call it 632 rather than 605, because 605, while it's polished brass, it tells us that it's made of solid brass. These were never made of solid brass. It's still listed in the site in the finishes that we have in stock as of today. By the time you're seeing this number will not be the same in terms of what's available. There's a link below this video, as seen here, to the manufacturer's page. When you click on that, you'll be able to pull up not only all of the Bommer products that we have listed available at this time. Again, it'll be different by the time you're seeing it because of them going out of business. But a link to their website, which may or may not be operable when you get to it. Still working for me. Yeah. And a link to their most current catalog, which by this time is 13 years old, but nothing has changed since then, and probably since I don't know that there was any product evolution for decades before that, and inherently part of the conversation is the fact that there wasn't innovation happening. There's a video here that shows us all of the different 30 or 40 plus finishes that were available, so you can fire up that video. And we can see from here, 6:45 is at minute mark 15 minutes and 26 seconds. So we scrub or scroll to that area. And it's close. What finish are we doing? 6:48? 6:45, forgive me. Satin nickel clear coated. There's 6:45. All right. This is a LB, probably an LB 8000 series hinge. An LB 8000, I don't remember. It's a steel base, but this is bright nickel on a typical butt hinge. This is really handy, this video, I mean, because regardless of who the manufacturer is, you're going to be able to see what a finish looks like, and that is just valuable information. This is 639, which means satin bronze over steel. Here is, well, let me find a finish that's more familiar. So here's 612. That means satin bronze over bronze. So we just looked at 639 satin bronze, but this is satin bronze when the base material is bronze and not steel. So there you go. That's what Bommer would have shipped you if you had ordered that. 613 oil rubbed. what Bomber would have shipped you had you ordered it. This looks like antique, yeah, 609, antique brass on solid brass. So whether you're selling McKinney or Hager or Ives or any other hinge manufacturer, you've got a way to be able to see finishes based on Bomber products. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. It would also be an epic understatement to say that Bommer's leaving a hole in the industry of products that are no longer available. Their 7112 pivot was extremely popular with woodworking companies. Actually, a couple of stories about Bommer. First of all, I went up to Bommer in 2019 to meet with them to not only meet the people, see the plant, see the plating factory, but also discuss how we could be stronger as distributors with a relationship with them. Part of that trip was Charlie Martin, who is the husband of one of the two granddaughters of one of the two Bommer brothers. So 1876, the two brothers found Bommer 135 years later, 45 years later, 145 years later. The granddaughter's husband. So just think in terms of age. I'm meeting with Mr. Martin. Had a great time with him. He relayed a story to me that Bommer was named in a lawsuit at one point. And the claim of the lawsuit, somebody got hurt, and the claim was the deficient caliber of the Bommer product. That the product is inherently defective, deficient, inappropriate for the application. So literally, Charlie Martin is in a courtroom and he's being asked questions, examined, I suppose, by the prosecuting attorney. And the guy goes all through it, and Mr. Martin is sitting there with exceptional calm and probably confidence. The attorney is a bit aggressive, a bit abrasive, a bit unconcerned with Mr. Martin's comfort level. Asks a bunch of questions, would you agree that, this could happen? And Mr. Martin starts off by asking a question of the attorney, says, may I ask you a question before I answer yours? Yes. Would you consider this building, this courthouse that we're in right now, to be a high-quality courthouse? The building materials, likely the people who built it, absolutely, the attorney says, the best. Well, it turns out one of those pivots was about 8 feet away from Charlie Martin, and it's those small half doors that you walk through when you're in a courtroom. Traffic ticket, you'll go through those doors. That's the Bommer product. And I believe he was excused on the spot, and the case was certainly dismissed, if not immediately, all but immediately. The second story about Bommer, Mr. Jackson, he was once asked about, not asked, it was questioned the quality of the Bommer spring hinge, likely from a competitor. The design of their spring hinge and their LB 4300 series is best in class. So I was at the plant, same trip, meeting Mr. Jackson, Stuart Jackson, and I had said to him, somebody questioned the quality of this Bommer spring hinge. And I says, how many cycles will it go? Meaning, how many times will it open and close? Well, in his shop, his workshop, he had a machine that was cycle testing a spring hinge. It was literally cycle testing a spring hinge. Grade 1 is 1,000,000 cycles, and so the hinge has to be tested to survive 1,000,000 cycles, which in a residential application, if you did just quick numbers, let's say you cycled a door 20 times a day, that's divided by 365. That's 137 years. Okay, so if you put it into a commercial application, and let's say you now have 500 cycles a day, you've got 5.5 years. And I said, someone had questioned the quality, and he kind of laughed. And I said, well, how long will the hinge really last? He says, I don't know. He says, I unplugged the machine at 7 million cycles. So 7, that's 38 years at 500 cycles a day is what he knows it would work to. 38 years. Anyway, if you have any questions on anything Bommer, or if you're catching this video and we still have inventory, don't wait. Good for you. And hopefully somebody picks up part of the product line. Any questions on this or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.